Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Aaron Cavley. I'm going to do a quick review of three supplements for the Neon City Overdrive Cyberpunk RPG, tabletop RPG. I have a review and a playthrough of the main game on another video. I'll go ahead and link it down there. Currently, all three of these supplements, the Grid, Skinjobs, and Psions are on sale at Drive-Thru RPG on a like best under $5 sale. So they're all currently about 350 or something like that. So I picked them all up and read through them, and I'll put links to those down at the bottom as well. The Each one of these they're really more of a toolbox than a setting. The setting for Neon City Overdrive is very thematic. It has very big pictures that you can focus in on and fill in the details as you go along. And each one of these supplements carries on that excellent theme that Neon City Overdrive has established. And each one is a toolbox on how you can bring the details of that particular aspect of this cyberpunk world into your campaign. And in of being building blocks, you can use them or not. Myself, I will probably not use Psions in my personal campaign because it's just not something I'm interested in doing. But psionic powers and strange powers are certainly, part and parcel of certain cyberpunk type settings, Shadowrun and games of that ilk. Uh, I'm going to go through each book one at a time right now and just give a quick recap of what they go over. First off is the grid, and the grid is the term for the internet, what you jack into. You put your cyber deck and you lose yourself and you go full VR, full immersion. But it also talks about other communications, how other communications are done in Neon City or whatever you want to call your setting. It describes how everyone uses it. It describes the different ways that people use it, and it describes the kind of the high level architecture of how it works. It uses data nodes and the wireless portions and secure hubs, um, things like that. And it's very good. It's a pretty good description of how you access in. And being a toolbox, there are decisions that you make how you want it to look. The Do you want it to look like a max headroom type 90s wireframe kind of scenery, or are you looking for hyper realistic, or do you want to mix them both? It describes different areas, different regions of the grid and what they're used for and what you'll find there. There's a bunch of good encounter tables, some more slang. Uh, so it has a lot of interesting things in there about um, digital AI, or like rogue AIs, digital personalities, things of that nature. Here we see where it's talking about the overlay, which is what it calls like the augmented reality kind of thing. It's the sort of the digital interface for a lot of things, and not everybody has to be chipped unless that's how your campaign is. And it was earlier you saw a neo-Luddite movement, and that's probably what I would fall under because one of the things, just in general, of cyberpunk is l- looking at how people act with their phones. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but it just seems I would have a hard time, you know, installing some kind of cyberware that can get constantly hacked by everyone. That was one of the things that'll always happen in the Ghost of the Shell anime, which I like. But every other episode they're getting their eyeballs hacked and everything else. But that kind of stuff is covered in the grid. And it talks about the different types of like here's the grid running tech. You have wearables and interface chips and the limitations of each. Okay, there we see, and we see that the artwork still maintains that great thematic look to it. It's very it matches the style of the first book very well. That kind of digital pink and purple going on. This particular book has 60 pages in it, which is a pretty good size. And we see that we have more tables that you can roll up for different details. There are tables later on in the book that talk about the types of enemies that you can run into, the kind of activities, and each region kind of has its own flavor to it. And there are some pretty cool regions like the ribbon, which like these highways and byways in between the nodes, and that has a completely different digital ecosystem than a particular data hub or anything else. And it also has a good appendix on customizing your grid because, like I said, they're all toolboxes, and it has a good list of threats to increase the playability, so you can move it into the grid. One thing with the the action system that the game uses, and I can never remember what it's called. It's not action dice, action level, something like that. Action tails. I tried to remember that like before this video because I just can't. I can never remember it. I keep wanting to say action dice, but that's something else. Um, but one of the good things about this system is that it doesn't, or about the overall game system, the action tails, is that it's very adaptable. So you're really just doing the same roles. The characters still have a trademark. Then they build their dice pool the exact same way. They have their starting dice just for being special, and then they've got a trademark dice if it applies. In this case, it's going to be some kind of, obviously, like some kind of virtual reality code slinger kind of trademark, and then some kind of edges within that trademark. That's more fully explained in the other video that I have. And those trademarks and edges are used to build a dice pool that you roll for success or failure. And it's really just reskinning it instead of being on the street with your Mark 72 Uzi or whatever, shooting at the gangsters or the police or whoever your campaign usually shoots at. You've moved it now, and you're shooting at Max Headroom and his host, his host of avatars that are defending him, and you're using codes and viruses to damage them, but it's visualized just like it's on the real street, just kind of changing the window dressing, right? It might be a medieval castle or something if that's what the the area of the grid you're in looks like. So it's a way of playing a virtual combat is the same way as playing a physical combat. Each one of these supplements do add some specific traumas, which are the negative effects, the conditions that you can get from getting beat up too much, such as, like in this case, you can get gridlocked or you can get lag, you can get viruses and stuff. Um, And this book contains a lot of interesting details that you can incorporate: data storms, the stream, and it includes some interesting virtual settings that are detailed, but just enough detail that you can do something with and not be you know stuck or feel like you have to follow this big info dump or anything. So they did a really good job on that, like they did in the first one. A lot of it's all theme. They're very good on describing the theme. Next one up is Skinjobs, and this is talking about the area of cyberpunk, like the Altered Carbon. Um, I had worked on Transhuman Space for the GURPS line, and they had a lot of the skin job type stuff where you're talking about downloading and the ghost chips and things like that, which is what Skinjob uh, is covering. Uh, and basically, it's like Ghost in the Shell. It has rules for transferring from one body to the other, who can transfer, how to use the ghost chips, and it also has a list of traumas that are involved with it, and it has three different types of trademarks. As you can see there's bioroids, androids, and theroids, which are animal skins. Um, So, and it gives some good ideas for adventures and um, how the system works, what people might do to get somebody else's skin, and each skin there's some skins listed like there are in Neo City Overdrive. There's some more skins listed with with a good amount of um, variety and details. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, it talks about how to make your custom skins. This particular book is only 22 pages long. Yeah, okay. So there's some skins. Oops, my thing bumped over. There's some skins that it talks about, and it lists good edges or triggers and flaws that might be associated with them, with the different type of bioroids. Androids, same thing, and the theroids. And so you see there the specific flaws that might affect someone who is a skin, and then of course you decide for your campaign, how common is it? Is it something that everyone can do, or is it something that only the super wealthy can do? And it discusses how to do those things. And then here's a cool job starter table, like a hook table, that it has a lot of information on it, and not just for. It doesn't always have to be uh, concerning people's skin, that are in different skins. It could be regular cyber hackers or whatever working for something that has to do with the skins. And finally, Psions. This book is 48 pages, and again, we come across the same thing. You have your powers, your psionic trademarks, and your psionic edges, and you use those to build your dice pool. It's just a matter of deciding how your psionics work. What are they? And it has a good table if you want to do a random. Is it chemical? Is it some kind of evolutionary thing or mutation? Some kind of cosmic rays that cause the psionics to happen. And it's very simple, but it works pretty good. Um, Not much to go over. It has it does seem to have a little bit more addition of, not necessarily addition of rules, but when you start talking about the psionic powers, it does have more triggers and edges, and because you were talking about how to activate it and do things. Nothing that's really, it's not complicated. It doesn't change the rules or anything. It's just, it seems like there's a couple more roles involved with doing some of the psionics. Um, and at the end of it, at the end of the book, at the end of Scions, sorry, I was trying to remember what it's called there, is Grim City. Now this kind of seems to harken to more of a Shadowrun type of area where there are, where it's the reawakening. There's magic and elder races and stuff like that. And this part right here I found actually pretty interesting for the simple fact that the Action Tales system, they have another game you can get, like it's like 2 pages. It's a very simple game, but it uses the basic Action Tales system called Dungeon Crawlers, and it's obviously it's fantasy based. Um, but this particular section, this Grim City, it has, you can see the megacorps, but it also has different heritages, and that races. It has different races, and each one of them has a list of things that are that you can apply in there, and so that would also be good for if you wanted to transfer this system to some kind of sword and sorcery campaign. It's easy enough to do as it is, but this section on Grim City offers a lot of good detail for that. You got spell slingers, so you can split it up and see the different types of spells that they would use. And the spells, just like the psionics, same thing. You build your die pool, add danger dice depending on range, or if you're trying to blow up a big area or something like that. But more trigger. And here's they added talismans, which is another, this is a system that's good not only for Grim City, but you could use it to make magical items in any kind of Action Tales game. And each one of these books does have an extra selection of threats. And then there's the final, the last book there. So in summary, these are all very good add-ons. If you like the Neon City setting, these books will all be helpful in one way or another. And right now they're on sale, so I'd say go ahead and get them. I give them all a thumbs up, even though like Scions I'm probably not going to use in my personal campaign, but there's a lot of good information in there. But I'll go ahead and I'll drop links to the books on Drive-Thru RPG, and if you see this fast enough, you can go pick them up, get them on sale. The Grid, Skinjobs, and Scions for Neon City Overdrive by Nathan Russell. Thanks y'all for watching. I hope it was useful. If so, give me a like and do all that YouTube stuff. All right, thanks and happy gaming.